Another great episode with the best content from the amazing guest this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the information that we share in here is coming from experts from different career fields who are willing to share with us what it feels to be in the fields that they're in, and also to share with us some views on what's happening in the world currently. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm your host, Ndibo Chibase, and welcome to another amazing episode of Complacency Learning. Complacency Learning is a show that is aimed at helping you help your child make informed career decisions, and also to help you elevate to reach greater heights of success within the career that you are in. And on today's episode, we are joined by an international law and human rights lawyer whose passion lies in protecting human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting any time, I'm going to go ahead and welcome Ruth Nashipae Muigai. Hi, Ruth. We are so blessed to have you on today's amazing episode of Complacency Learning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you yourself?
Well, they say every day above the ground is a blessing, so I have to be doing well, like appreciating the fact that I'm above the ground. So, can you please tell us about it? Can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
So I'm a human rights lawyer from Kenya. So I have a degree in law, and then I majored in human rights and international law from the University of East London and the Commonwealth Scholarship. I'm also a lecturer. So currently I'm lecturing at the Kenya School of Government. It's a new role I just started. I'm also involved in corporate governance. I sit on the board of an NGO as well as a state corporation. So currently, of course, being in academia, I'm involved in research, supervising projects. I'm also involved in trainings and capacity building as a consultant for different and governmental organizations and the civil society groups in the country. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a profile and quite a lot of things that you're doing. Where do you get time to do all these things?
I think the time is there. I think it's just prioritizing. And also, I think it's not being content, like wanting to grow also, because I know there are people who, once you get a job, you're okay, and that's it. So I think also it's having that drive to want to, learn more, be able to contribute more, and, develop as the years go by as well. Yeah.
So you seem to enjoy doing what you do, and also at the same time you seem to be like an individual who's so full of life, And speaking of life, I just want to ask you, what is the meaning of life to you?
Oh, that's a good question. So life, I think we discover what life is every day, because I think growing up as children, we looked at life very differently because, we were being provided for, we were being taken care of. And then when you grow up and you're an adult, responsibilities come in, you have to face the world alone, you have to make so many decisions. So I guess at every stage, you just keep discovering what life is, and also like you tend to also shock yourself because you discover even who you are in the process, because as challenges come and you overcome, you tend to, recognize yourself as a strong person, and also the contribution that you're making in terms of the lives that you're touching as well. So I think it's a discovery, but I think life is a beautiful gift. I think it's challenging. I think people always assume life is meant to be happy, and that's not the case. I think life is meant to be all experiences, including pain, including failure, and people don't talk about those things. So I think, especially in social media, where you think, life is about, just being successful, buying the, latest brands and driving the fancy cars. But, that's not what real life is about. Real life is about also losses. It's about failures. It's about, betrayal. It's about, difficult decisions. Yeah, and I think people really need to have these conversations, because I feel even for mental health, people are giving up because they think the situation is very dire and it's not. Once you hear the other person's story, you're like, okay, you have absolutely nothing to complain about. But I think people have really taken to showing life as it should be easy. If you're struggling, there's something wrong with you, and that's not the case. It's supposed to, be a struggle and a journey, and happiness as well, but the lows as well is part of life. Yeah.
Nice. I like how you explained it. Like it's amazing how you explained it. And also speaking of life and you as a person, what has been happening, what has been going on in your life recently that you didn't expect and also that you did expect?
So what I didn't expect, I think the new role, I didn't expect it. I mean, I wanted it, but you apply for things and you don't know if you're going to get it. In terms of what I've expected, I think recently I got into a program, a fully funded program that is on climate change. So it's a New York school that had this program to sort of train people in a period of 6 weeks on climate change advocacy, issues of climate law, climate policy. So yeah, I was amongst, there are very few number of people who are selected globally. So I think that was a good thing as well. Yeah.
That's nice. It means that you're doing a great job, eh? Like for you to like be one of the few. I mean, it's something amazing, and I'm really happy for you actually. Right. So now, how do you end up in your role as an international law and human rights lawyer?
Okay, so I did law, and in my country, most people, I mean, the normal route is litigation. Once you have your undergraduate, you do a postgraduate diploma at Kenya School of Law, and then you proceed on to practice. So litigation, going to court, dealing with matters in court. But when I did my internship, I found I didn't really like that line of work. So I navigated towards NGO work. So that was my first, role as employment. So I was a research and legal officer for Edmund Rice International in Kenya. So it was really exciting for me because, when you're doing law firm work, usually you're in court and then you're in the office, drafting paperwork, meeting clients, so that is usually the route. But now when I went to the NGO world, the travel all over, doing capacity building, meeting different people, conducting research, publishing papers, advocating for different things, partnerships with different organizations. So I felt the work was more impactful and more like I felt like I am actually alive, like going to work excited me. Unlike, the situation in the law firm. And this is not to say, investigation isn't good, but I think even as young people are figuring out their career, I always tell them, try internships. You can only know what you want out of life if you have experiences, because the more experiences you have, the more you're able to ascertain what you want to do. And now I'm even meeting lawyers who are accountants who did law, then they went into accounting, and now they are accountants and lawyers as well. There are those ones who are lawyers and engineers as well. So I think you just find out what really drives you, so that you're not waking up to go to work and you're not excited about your life. Yeah.
And they say when you do something out of passion, you don't feel forced to do it. And also to go back to what you mentioned, you did mention that it's like you need to acquire experiences. I believe that also is part of learning, because we learn through our experiences. Yeah, some people will think that learning is it's only sitting in class and being taught by the teacher. So I'm really grateful that you actually shed a light on that. Okay, so I just want to ask you now, looking at your role as an international law and human rights lawyer, What are the biggest challenges you're facing and how are you dealing with them?
I think the biggest challenge would be funding, because most of the time when you deal with the civil society groups, you always find that there's so much need on the ground. Coming from Africa, I think our problems are pretty much cross-cutting: issues of poverty, food security, gender inequality. So you find communities that are very needy, but you see funding is a challenge, Our governments don't provide as much funding for civil societies. So you have to apply for grants, and even grants are now becoming very, very specific. Of course, there's an advantage now that the big donors are moving away from, dealing with the big boys, the big international organizations, and are now dealing with, grassroots organizations. So that is good as well. But yeah, I'd say funding is the biggest challenge, because young people have ideas on how to change society. Women groups are doing small scale businesses, but you see, without funding, they cannot really upscale and, sort of develop. Yeah.
So for the work that you're doing now, do you feel appreciated?
Appreciated by society or the people I serve?
Both the society and the people you serve.
The people I serve, definitely. The appreciation is there, I think that's the benefits of civil societies, that once you've facilitated that training and you see someone is really, impacted by the knowledge they've learned, they're appreciative, they give good reviews. So definitely the appreciation is there. If you apply for a grant and you see, the grant money has arrived and the project is going on well, for instance, if students are being provided with books and uniform, you can clearly see how, thankful and, excited they are. So I think it gives you fulfillment. Yeah, so definitely.
Ruth, you are doing a great job, eh? If you are meeting those objectives, like you're doing a great job, I must say, and I really commend you for that. So, when I was going through your LinkedIn profile, I noticed that there's some articles that you wrote, and in one of the articles that is titled the protection the protection and promotion of child rights during peace process, a critical analysis. And you mentioned that when peace gatherings take place, there is often a risk that children's rights are ignored. What do you think are the contributing factors to that?
I think, first of all, is generally when there's conflict, I think children are the most vulnerable, because most of the time children are left without a family, they're separated from their family, they undergo trauma. So when it comes to transitional justice and reconstituting the country, people often talk about, the negotiations regarding the conflict, like how they're going to share government responsibilities, things like that, to ensure sustainable peace. But rarely in those agreements do you see anything regarding the rights of children, okay? So it's an omission that has been ongoing for a long time. And why? Because again, the voice is not there. I think, and also, given that it's a crisis situation and stakes are high, I think people tend to feel like that's a subject for another day. Like once they have reconstituted the government or peace structures are in place, then now they can start talking about children's rights. And you see, when they do it that way, and what happens often is that now the children are left out. So you find in these countries, you have so many street children. You find children who are in prisons and in, Bosol detention centers and all that, because these children have no provisions for, basic needs. They have no protection. They have no rights, right to education, right to play and things like this. So I felt it's important that academics should focus on really creating awareness on how important it is to include children's rights in these peace agreements and during transitional justice, so that you can have a conversation. And also the fact that in many countries, these children are also key players because most of them are used as child soldiers, okay? So as you're negotiating peace, don't look at it like these children are not, major players, in some cases they are, sort of responsible in a way for the actions that they had done during that period. And so they need to be rehabilitated. They need also to be given, trauma counseling services for mental health and things like this. So yeah, so I felt it's important, and not just as academics, but I think even civil society needs to advocate for this. So even I know War Child, a UK organization, does this a lot. They tend to advocate for the views of children who have been affected by war, how they perceive the war. And they had taken these drawings from children in Sudan, and they used that during the UN meeting to show how children are really psychologically affected by the war. And I think many civil society groups should actually advocate for this, and also governments, and the African Union and other regional bodies. As you intervene and negotiate peace agreements, child rights should be at the center of it and not later, discussion. Yeah.
I work with children, and I have to say that I love children. And if you really think about it, you'll see that children are innocent souls, and they just want us to be there for them and protect them and make sure that they have that bright future, and that bright future they can acquire through learning. Because I believe that they are born with the need to learn, but thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so how can we ensure dignity for all human beings?
I think the major way would be through law. I think being human beings, we tend to require a set of rules and regulations with consequences to be able to abide by, certain standards. So if we expect dignity, then we need to have laws that enforce this dignity as a right for the population and the citizens under that jurisdiction. I think another one is societal change. I think creating awareness works really well, because you can have very good laws and the society is really not following what the laws are, and it's just law on paper. So yeah, so we need to create awareness and constantly capacity builds and create movements and things like that. And yeah, so basically I think those two ways are most effective. Yeah.
So in other words, we have to join hands as a country, as a continent. And because I believe that if also we join hands, we can change one life at a time, if not many. So if you were not in this role that you're in, what other career would you pursue?
I remember I really wanted to be a pilot in high school. So yeah, probably I would do that, but I don't know. In hindsight, I think I'm okay. But yeah, probably eventually maybe I would want to learn how to fly. Maybe not commercially, but just a private.
But you seem to be enjoying this more than being a pilot. As you said, you would have chosen that one if you're not on this one. Yeah. So I'm learning a lot to you. Like really. And I don't think I'm the only one that's going to learn from this. I do believe that everybody's going to find it very meaningful and productive. So, and then to those that are actually finding it meaningful and productive, what are the 3 books that you can recommend to them?
So books, usually I love autobiographies. I love Trevor Noah's book, born a crime. I find it hilarious, and also it talks about domestic violence, growing up in South Africa, and overcoming all the challenges that were meant to bring him down. I've also been reading Viola Davis' book. So I'd recommend that as well. It talks about being a Black woman and dark-skinned girl, and how it was growing up in the States and becoming the star that she is. So mostly I love autobiographies because they tend to sort of give you inspiration to sort of continue and go forth. Kamala Harrison also has a book, and I read it last year. It's quite insightful about her journey, and yeah.
I think I should also look into reading the autobiographies, because like you said, now there's things to learn, because I mean the challenges that they face, because usually I think they often talk about how they made it from where they were to where they are as of the current moment, right? So I think I should also look into that, because I never really look into that. I just spend time reading about business and all that, right? So, and then to our listeners, how can they connect with you online?
I think on LinkedIn, I'm Ruth Nashipae Muigai, so that's the best way to connect with me. Yes.
It's actually at the bottom of the screen so that everybody can see everything. And yeah. So now in closing, there's this question that I ask all my guests, so it's about learning. I mean, I'm in the space of education, and education has more to do with learning. So I know that when we learn, we don't only learn in class, like you mentioned earlier, that we also learn through our experiences. So now I just want to find out from you, what does it mean to learn?
I think what it means to learn is to discover new things and new concepts, new ways of doing things, and new skills as well. Yeah.
Now, awesome. Thank you very much for coming here. Like I said from the beginning, that we are blessed to have you on today's amazing episode. I mean, the content you shared with us is very meaningful and it's very productive. And it's something that I believe is going to stay in the hearts of many for many years to come. And also it's going to help our learners make informed career decisions, and also to help others elevate in their careers, So before you go, I just want to ask you, is there something that you would like to share with us? Like, could be anything.
I think for your learners is just to encourage them. I think the only way to be successful is to fail and keep failing. That means you're trying. So just to be encouraged and not think that success is, linear. There always bumps are, along the road, but just keep going. And finding new ways. If you can't do it this way, do it the other way. Yeah.
No, thank you very much, Ruth. It's been an honor to have you on today's episode. Like I said, I mean, we're living at very busy times, and also looking at you, you're doing a whole lot of things that you even sacrifice to come and share with us in the early hours of the morning, of which to me, it really means a lot. And I want to say to you, may God bless you, and may also everything, all your dreams that are implanted in you, may they come true.
Thank you very much, and keep up the good work. And thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. And please do enjoy your day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I do believe this was a very meaningful episode. As you know, we always bring you nothing but the best of the best content coming from the best guests who are experts in their different career fields, willing to come and share with us what it feels like to be in their different career fields, and also to share their views on current matters that are happening around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that would like to get in touch with Ruth, please do so at the details that are provided at the bottom of the screen. And in doing so, please remember to like and subscribe so you are notified every time we post a new episode. That means that you don't miss any of the amazing episodes that we share. And until then, please stay tuned for more episodes to come.